Y'all, the bottom just fell out. Jeremiah was out there working on the garden beds and it is pouring. Getting him, try to get him dry. The boys and the dogs got caught out in the rain. Y'all were in your tree house. Y'all, look at this. The amount of rain pouring off the house. Welcome back to Roots and Refuge. I have a few nasturtium seeds here. We just got a really heavy rain. I'm gonna stick these in my green stalk. So this green stalk is the one that I'm doing. Y'all asked me to do one as if this was like my only planting space and try to grow like some of everything in it. So I am. And there are actually some seeds in here that I'm waiting to come up. These just came up like a couple days ago. These are some little compact cucumbers, and I've got some different patio tomatoes and tumbling tomato varieties. I just ordered some of the little supports because I think these tomatoes are going to need them. I've got a little lettuce, some beets, cosmos. Yeah, this is the one that needed the support, but it's starting to produce. I'm going to fill in the rest of the spaces. My son Asher has been out here putting my new garden beds together for me. He's got one more left to go, but I have 5 more for this space, but they were back ordered and things have been weird with shipping, and so I've actually got a little ways I have to wait. I'd hoped to get this all done and planted, but I'm just gonna have to wait for the beds to get here. I'd considered changing plans and like getting different color beds, but I really wanted them all to match, which is weird for me because normally I like a good hodgepodge. But I already have a hodgepodge garden and I wanted a little matchy garden. So that's not where that's gonna be, obviously. He was just sitting on the porch putting it together yesterday. That's gonna be over here, and then that little square one's gonna be up here. And so there will be 2 long beds along the fence. There will be a gate right here in the middle. And then there will be like 4 smaller rectangle beds right here. And then one right against the greenhouse. He's putting those together for me so that I can get them filled this week and I've got a lot of herb plants that I purchased. And I'm just gonna plant them in the beds that I have. I am having to rearrange my planting plan a little bit, but it's fine. The other beds should be here like early to mid-May, so it's not like they'll be that long from now. So we just got so much rain. I think my rain gauge is cracked. I'm walking out here to see, but I wanted to come look at the garden, make sure everything was fine. We had a super, super wet, you know, late winter, early spring, and then a really dry couple of weeks. And then this last couple of days, we've had a lot of rain, and the difference that rain makes in the garden is just wild. I mean, I've been watering it, but rainwater just makes plants very happy. Oh. Hey, Bear. I know it's tempting, man, but come on back here. Bear. Come on. Thank you. Good boy. So we were waiting on baby geese to hatch, and a few weeks ago, kind of at the tail end of that early spring rain, we got a lot of precipitation really fast, and our pond flooded up a little bit, and those geese had laid their nest on that chinampa that's down there, and it flooded, and their eggs got wet, and they abandoned them. I guess they weren't good after that. Cooled them off, I assume. But it was sad. These things happen, but it did make me really sad. All right, the garden is so saturated. Look at this. These radishes. Oh shoot, I think it may be starting to rain again. It is. Yeah, I was just noticing when I was out here earlier this morning that so many things I have been waiting on have popped up. Like these are some melons that I've been waiting on. Unfortunately, there are also gobs of bitter melons trying to grow right here. My squash has taken off. Well, dang. Well, I thought I was going to show you guys the lush, freshly watered garden, but I don't think it would be a great idea for me to keep my camera out here because while I will not be harmed by this water, I can't say the same for my recording equipment. Maybe just one little peep at the lushness. Oh, look at these. These 2 irises bloomed. These are some of my favorites. I really like this orange. And then this really pretty yellow. I try to get pictures of all my different fancy irises. I think I have like 20 such. It's in the 20s range of the different kinds I have. And I always try to take a picture of each one. What do you say, Bear? Really, this was the main thing I wanted to come check on. Oh, goodness. Okay, so these are my hollyhocks, and they got a terrible case of rust. This is just a sickness that certain plants can get. It's very common where I live in humid South Carolina. And I noticed that they had gotten sick the other day, and I was really bummed because I thought I probably wasn't going to be able to see their flowers. But they went ahead and opened up. Normally they're much taller than this, but I think they went ahead and bloomed because the plant was sick. It's sad, but also I'm really glad I got to see them. Check this out. Nice long row of tomatoes I planted yesterday. Oh no, something got this. It's roly-polies. Look at them. For all the people who argue with me that roly-polies don't eat plants, I just want you to be the witness to this. Oh, I'm gonna have to do something about that. Oh man, they got this one too. Alright, I'm being reckless with my camera. Woo! Oh gosh. I just was not anticipating how soft that soil was. Oh. Y'all, pray for me. I gotta go inside. The rain's... I gotta go inside. The rain's picking up. I'm gonna have to shove my camera under my shirt because it's the only way I have to protect it. So I'll see you guys later because I'm not making that kind of video. Okay guys, it's actually been a couple days since the first half of this video and I forgot what I was about to do. Hold on. Alright. This is what I need. So I've been dealing with roly-polies, pill bugs, slaters, potato bugs, whatever it is you call them in your parts of the world, this whole season because we got some very woody mulch and we put it in our garden. Pill bugs are not necessarily trying to like eat all of your plants. They're actually a very important part of the ecosystem in breaking down and decomposing. But because an excess of unbroken down wood in garden beds will pull nitrogen from the plants, we needed to take that wood out, so we did, but we found ourselves with a great imbalance. Way too many roly-polies eating my seedlings. That seedling, this tomato, let's see, that's 2. There's another one, 3, 4. That's it. They took out 4 of my young tomatoes. Thankfully I have some backups I can plant in place of these. These are like my Dr. Ritchie's and my Paul Robeson's, this whole row. Dr. Ritchie, Paul Robeson, and Abe Lincoln. These are like 3 of my favorite tomatoes. I did a whole row of them so I could have plenty. And look, there's the culprit right there. So I discovered earlier this year that a good way to handle these bugs is to put sliced potatoes in your garden bed because they'll eat these instead of your seedlings. And I had someone else tell me that sliced oranges work too. We're gonna try that today. However, oranges are more expensive than potatoes. So when it comes to organic solutions, I'm trying to find something that makes sense for the ecosystem but also makes sense for the budget. So I'm probably not going to be buying bags of oranges to put out here, but I figured I would try it because the thing I've found is that the potatoes, they end up eating them and they kind of shrivel up super fast, so they only really work as a deterrent for a short period, then they have to be replaced. I don't know, like less than a week. And so I'm going to try the oranges and see how long they last, because if they last longer, even if they're more expensive, that could still make sense. I'm going to go ahead and put one down in the spaces as well, one in between those. Alright. So I planted all these tomatoes out here, and we will put the trellises back up for them, but they don't need them just yet, so we're not in a major rush. You know, Maya's got to rehang the shade cloth out here, so we'll get that done before it's necessary. Oh, that's funny. I just peeked that hanging down. Berries that grow in the shade are often so sweet. This bed had really bad roly-polies, and every seedling I put out here was getting just decimated. Even with having potatoes out there, nothing was working to stop them. So I actually had all of these sunflower starts. These are just some like plain white sunflowers for cutting. And I had not planned on putting those in a raised bed space like this, but they were a little on the bigger side, so I figured I would give it a shot, and of course they haven't been touched at all. Over here, these tomatoes have been more left alone, except for right down here on the end. These all got chewed up. I think this one may pull through, but these are gonna have to be replanted with something else because they are just completely destroyed. After our rain, my tomato plants are looking very lush. I'm gonna have to actually probably do our first pruning here in the next day or two. That's pretty cool. I love what rain does for things. I mean, it just really makes everything explode. Look, we have our first little baby zucchinis. That's exciting. Huh. That is a dahlia, which I do not recall putting those here. My corn I put here is starting to come up kind of irregularly here, which again makes me suspect maybe something messing with seedlings. I don't know, maybe it's just taking a little longer, but let me drop a few of these in here just to make sure.
This is a really small egg.
Oh my goodness, did you find that while you were doing chores? That is crazy. That was in the chicken coop?
It was below it.
Below it. You know what we call these?
What?
Fairy eggs. Or people call them poot eggs.
Poot eggs?
Poot. Like poot. Hold it out.
Will it ever hatch a chicken?
No, it probably doesn't have a yolk. You want to crack it open and see what's in it?
Sure.
Here, let's put it on one. Let's put it here so our plants can enjoy it. Let's see what's in there.
Yeah, no yolk.
No yolk.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll give the little poot egg to this plant here. Here we go. All right, back to making my offering of dinner to the roly-polies. I'm seeing corn come up here. It's coming up kind of sporadically. I'm hoping they'll all still come up. But I feel pretty hopeful because over here, pretty much all the ones I planted in this little section have come up. So I don't know what's going on over there. So I've been trying to not sow everything in the garden all at once because I wanted my harvest to be staggered because my goal here this year is fresh eating. So I've been coming out about once a week and doing like a big sweep through and sowing things, like sowing plants I had started, tucking more seeds in, and I'm due to do that like today or tomorrow. I sowed a lot of seeds about a week ago, maybe it was like 8 or 9 days ago, and a lot of them have come up. Actually, I did this on a video. I showed you guys that I was sowing over here. I did some melon seeds that were a little on the older side. I'm really not seeing any roly-poly damage over here, but we'll go ahead and lay these down just as a precaution. And I sowed these seeds really thick because they were like 5 years old. Obviously they came up thick. Here was some squash that was 3 or 4 years old, and I'm gonna have to thin these out because they came up so thick. And down here are my Jack and the Beanstalk beans. See how big those are, they're huge, and they've come up really nicely. Again, not seeing bug damage, but we'll lay some things down just as a precaution. I don't know if it's like procrastinating. Somebody tagged me in this thing that said procrastiplanting, and that is, I think I do that. I don't mean to, like, I'm so obsessed with the garden all winter. I think about it, I plan it, I shop for seeds, I look at seed catalogs, I work on my garden plan. And then it comes down to doing it, and I'm so kind of cautious, like, oh, I'll take the risk, I'll gamble a little bit, but I don't want to plant the whole thing out. And the next thing I know, it's like almost May, and I could have planted my whole garden by now, and I still have lots of empty space. So now I need to like put my feet to the fire and actually get the thing all the way in. Well, I've got my son Jackson here with me today. He's home from college, about to go back for finals and then be back home for the summer. But he's doing some work in the garden. He's moving some soil, and I'm going to go work with him and enjoy having my man boy, he's not a boy at all anymore, my man child, home working in my favorite space with me. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today and all the days you do. I bless you. Until next time.